Hey guys, wanted to put together a video on getting a website online. Not going to be a super fancy website, but it's going to have the basics and it's going to work. So let's dive in. Going to open up Visual Studio Code. I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to save it onto my desktop. I will just create a new folder called Personal Site. And I'm going to save my file as index.html. And I'm going to type HTML:5 tab, and it's going to get me set up with the template. I will throw my name in as the title, and I will just throw an H1 in here with my name on it. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to pull open that file for my desktop, and we get a really basic website. Okay, that's great. We probably need a little bit more on there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab Bootstrap and I'm going to search for Bootstrap CDN, and we are going to grab just the CSS. We will throw that into the head tag. We will do a div class name equals container here, and we will put our H1 tag in there. Let's save that and go back and refresh, and okay, we're already looking better. What I would like to do now is let's throw on a text center to that, and let's do let's make it a little fancier. Let's say, hi, I'm and then we'll do maybe an H2 below that says feel free to contact me here, or shoot me an email at. Okay, let's save that, see what that looks like. All right, we're looking better. Text still isn't centered, which is weird. It should have done that. Let me take a look at, throw that in another div and see if that fixes it. Oh, you know what? I know what the problem is. I'm using class name instead of class because my brain is in React world, and we should just be using class because we're not using React. Okay, this is good. I'm gonna touch it up a little bit. I'm gonna throw a style on here that just says margin top, let's say 30 px. And then let's throw a style on here with a margin top of 15 px. Refresh. Okay, that's looking better already. The one other thing I want to do is this white background is a little harsh. So on my body tag, I am going to say style background dash color, and I'm going to say light gray as my color. And let's refresh that. Okay, we're looking good. Let's throw an A tag on here. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to say href is a mail to my email address. And we will pull this over. And I'm realizing that this text looks pretty big, right? We don't need it that size. So let's see what the default is. The default is font size 2.5 rem. So let's just drop that down a little bit. Let's say font size is maybe 1.5 rem. And we will drop our H2 down as well. Fix our spelling of style there. And let's make that maybe 1.2. Okay. I'm happy with that. Let's see, am I happy with that? Now let's go a little bit bigger. Let's go 2 and maybe 1.5. Okay, not overpowering. It's just a basic website. We got it up and running. Great. So what do we do from here? Well, I want to throw a period there. All right. I would like to get together a contact form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to save it as contact.html. I'm going to go back to my index and I'm going to put a tag in here, ahref equals /contact.html, and close out that tag, and then throw that there. And I'm going to do a HTML5 here, and I'm going to change my document title again. We want to make sure we grab Bootstrap and throw that here. Oops, not there. We want to throw that here. Okay. And now let's get a form together. So I want to continue my body style being light gray. So I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to throw in my div class equals container again, which is just going to make our website feel a little bit better on mobile. And now I am going to grab a form, and I am going to pull up the Bootstrap documentation, and I'm going to do a search for form, and I'm kind of liking this. So I'm just going to take all of this code, drop it in here, and save that so we get the format. And I'm going to change this up a little bit. So I'm going to say name, and the type is going to be text, and our ID is going to be name. We can delete that out, and we can say enter name. And then we can delete out the small tag because we don't need any email help. Okay, I'm going to continue on there. I'm going to do an email. I will change my type to email. Form control is fine. ID is going to be email. Placeholder is going to be enter email address. And we don't need a checkbox, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that out. But there is one more thing that I would like. I would like a message. So we are going to say message. We are going to change the input to a text area, which does not take a type. ID is going to be message. Enter a message here. And we should be all set. So let's see what that looks like. We are going to go to our website. Let's refresh it. All right. We're not looking bad there. Let's go ahead and click here. And it took us to a broken link. So let's go back to our index.html. Let's just change that to contact.html with that, without the slash. We'll refresh. We'll open it up. Okay, great. Kind of. Our message has all kinds of HTML in it, so that's clearly not right. And we want to clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to open this up, and doesn't look horrible, but let's see what we can do to clean that up. So first issue is our contact. We have our text area. We closed out the text area. This may require a closing tag, but I think our bigger issue is we closed that div there. So let's see, let's go back. All right, cool. Now we're in business here. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to take my H1. I am going to dump that in here, and I'm going to say contact me below. I'm going to look back over here. I'm going to refresh. Okay, we're already looking pretty good here. So now we need to get this form to work. Now, normally you would need a backend to make this form submit. You need an email server to send that through. An email server has to connect on the backend, and we don't want to have a backend. We just want to get a really basic website up. So we are going to use an awesome service called Mail This To, which kind of does the backend for you. So you can post any form to your email address, and it works. So what we're going to do is actually copy this code right here. And I'm going to go back to my contact page. I am going to throw that on my form tag, and I'm going to put my email address right here. All right, let's save that. I'm going to go to Chrome. I'm going to type in some information. And I'm going to add in a message. I'm going to hit submit. Okay, nothing appears to have happened, but let's see if we get that email in a couple minutes. I'm going to hop back over here, and while we are waiting for that email to hopefully come in, we are going to dive into their documentation a little bit. So what I would like to do is put in this Honeypot form field. And that's going to prevent spammers from being able to submit forms on your website. Basically, it's hidden, so your end user will never see it. But if a bot goes in and tries to submit a form on your side, it will fill in all the fields, even the hidden one, and then Mail This To will figure out, oh, this is a bot that filled it out. We shouldn't actually send this email. So it shouldn't look like, it shouldn't show up at all, but it will prevent some spam. Okay, so we got the email from Mail This To, and they just want to verify our email address before we start sending out emails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that link. It's going to say verification complete. All right, great. So now we have our contact form set up. So this is great. We should probably add a return to home button as well. So let's go down here. Let's come outside of our form and add a button with a class name of BTN and BTN primary. I'm going to change this to BTN success so it shows up as green. And I'm going to change it, instead of submit, we're going to say send email. And then down here on this button, we are going to say return home. And around that, we are going to add an href to index.html. We are going to grab this tag, throw that down there, and we're going to refresh. Okay, well, it's there. It's not how I want it to show up. It's because I use class name again, bad max. And I'm going to put that, let's just leave it there. Okay, great. Let's throw a little padding on that. So we will just say style equals margin top of 25 px. Refresh, our return home is there. Great. Now when we click on it, we go back to index. All right, we're making progress. So this is a great basic website. We coded out quickly. Obviously, we can do a lot more styling on this, but it's something on the web. Great. What do we do from here? Well, now we need to get it to actually work. So what we are going to do is go to github.com, and we are going to create a new repository called personal-site. Well, I already have one called personal site apparently, so we'll call it personal site 1. We're going to make it public, and we're going to create the repo. Now we are going to copy this git remote add origin, and then we are going to go to a new terminal in our VS Code, and we are going to cd into our desktop. And we are going to go to the personal site on our desktop. We are going to git init. All right. Then we are going to go back to our GitHub documentation, and we are going to git add start, which is going to stage the right files for us. We are going to git commit, and that added our 2 files. We are going to add our remote origin, and then we are going to salt and pepper push it. Great. So when we refresh here, awesome, it shows up. So we are going to now go to the GitHub pages documentation, open that up, and we are going to go to, where is their documentation? guides, configuring and publishing a source. Let's go to settings here. Maybe it's in there. Here we go, GitHub pages, awesome. So what we are going to do is we are going to say use the master branch. And when that loads, scroll back down, there's our source. We aren't going to do a custom domain yet, but we are going to open up our personal site and we're live. So anyone can go to this URL and see our website. Well, that's great, but what happens if I want to serve that at my domain, right? Well, that's what we want to do. So we are going to go to wherever our DNS records live. So if you bought your domain somewhere and then pointed your name servers at another host or location, that's where we want to go. If you bought your domain and haven't changed the name server settings yet, then that's we want to go to the place we registered it. So it depends where your domain is at. So for me personally, I am going to go to domains.google.com because that's where I know my domain is registered and where the DNS is. And we're going to play around with my zane.tech domain here. So I'm going to go to DNS. Again, everyone's domain registrar is going to look a little different. What you're trying to get to is the DNS settings. And down here, we want to get to whatever says custom or gives you the opportunity to add an A record or something like that. So what we are going to do is we are going to go back to the GitHub documentation and we are going to look under the custom domain settings. Or the custom URL. So we're going to go to custom URLs and we are going to scroll down to the quick start, and I want to bury in to the setting up an Apex domain. And then we are finally going to scroll down to configuring A records. And here are the IP addresses that I want. So now that we have the IP addresses, I'm just going to copy and paste these in. We're going to say @ for the root of our domain. Basically, when we go to the domain with no subdomain, go ahead and point it at these 4 IP addresses, which are GitHub. Take that, we'll add that one. We're going to hit add. Now, Google is playing games with me and only wanted to add 3 of those 4. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to add that 4th one in and hit save. Great, now all 4 of them are there. And we are also going to redirect our www to point at the CNAME and we're going to type in the root of our domain. So let's hit add there. All right, and we're going to now go back over to GitHub. And we are going to add the custom domain that we had and go ahead and click save. And now when we go to our domain, it should load. So awesome. We got our website working. We can still go to our contact, but now we have one more problem. We want to set up our email. So we say we want to have max@zane.tech work, but we don't have email hosting. So we are going to use this great service similar to Mail This To that does a redirect for us. And I believe it is this forwardemail.net. So we're going to go back to our Google domains and we're going to set up MX records. Now, if you already have email working, stop here. You're done. Your website's working. You're finished. So we are going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to grab these MX records. So we're going to say we're going to grab this and change it to MX and put in the mail server. And then we're going to add another mail server and put that in. If it requests priority when you're setting up your DNS, you're going to just type in that 10 and 20. All right, so we're going to add that. And then we are going to also add a TXT record. to forward your email address. So basically, we're going to grab this here, and we're going to say add in a txt record. We're going to put it at, and we are going to say forward email to an email address you already have set up. So if you have a Gmail you'd like to forward it to, that's great. So we're going to go ahead and hit add there, and then let's test it. So we're going to go back. We're going to open up a new email, and we are going to say to max@zane.tech, and let's send it from my Gmail. And we are going to say hello world, and we will put the subject as test. And when I send that, hopefully in a couple minutes, we will have an email that has come through. So I'm going to pause the video, and I will be right back when that has happened. Okay, so a couple minutes later, I got this email in, and if we pop it open, we can see that it was sent to max@zane.tech from my Gmail, and the test came through. So we have email all working. There are a couple more notes that I want to finish up on here. First of all, when I added my MX records in Google, because I didn't specify a priority, both of these values were set to 10, which actually meant that I got 2 emails. So I went in here and I just changed it so it said 10 and 20, which resolved the duplicate email problem. So if your DNS host prompts for priority and you earlier set it to 10 and 20, great, that's fine, you don't have to do anything. If you do get a duplicate email when you go to test though, go ahead and change the priority value so one is a little higher than the other. Okay, so let's focus on wrap up a little bit here. What we did is we got a basic website up. We added Bootstrap. We added a contact form. We used mail this to submit that contact form and send us an email. We created a repository with GitHub. We uploaded that repository using git push. Then we set up a GitHub Pages website. We went to the GitHub Pages documentation and got the IP addresses. Then we went to wherever our DNS was hosted, whether that's with our registrar or with someone else. And we pointed the DNS A records to GitHub Pages. We then set up MX records and a TXT record to forwardemail.net, which is going to take care of our email forwarding. And then we tested that email forwarding as well. So that's all pretty cool. Now there's one thing you might notice. If I go to maxmatthews.github.io/personal site, this lock is here. But if I go back to my zane.tech site, it's showing up as not secure. That's just because GitHub is taking a little while to issue the SSL certificate. So if we try and go to https zane.tech, it does show up as not secure. Within the next 24 hours, that will automatically resolve itself, and GitHub will set up Let's Encrypt automatically and give you that HTTPS. Now, if you get to this step, you think you're done everything, you go to test it, and something is not working yet, it is entirely possible that the DNS is just taking time to propagate. It does take a little while for all of these settings to just start working. So don't panic. Go get a coffee, take a couple hour break. It can take up to 24 hours to work. But if it's not working after 24 hours, then we play the video and see what steps you missed. Or, of course, you can reach out to me on Slack. Or we will get it resolved tonight in class. But it is possible that it's just going to take a little while. So give it a try and let me know if you run into any problems.